everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
I'm Burke.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
I've become so numb. I can't
I was really hoping you would throw us off and just use a different song out of nowhere.
Oh, no. It's at this point, I'm just going to sing I've become so numb. It's on our brains.
Like it's the theme now for the night.
Absolutely.
For whatever reason it is.
God.
So I was looking on Amazon this past couple days, right? One thing I found out, this is even side story to a side story here. I was at lunch the other day during work, and I went to Qdoba to check out some of their food there. It's delicious, by the way. And there's a Target right nearby, and I was just looking up on Amazon how much some of the washer fluid is, because like, I don't know, I'm already going to be late getting back to work. I'm going way over my hour. If I go over to Target now and grab this stuff, I'm just going to see like what the price is on it. It's probably not going to be great because you have to pay for the shipping. I mean, even though I've got Prime, you're going to have to pay for liquid. A gallon's worth of liquid is going to cost a little bit more than, shipping over a sheet of paper or something like that, or something small. I looked into it and I was like, oh, for 1 gallon of window washer fluid, it's $13 on Amazon. I go, well, I'm pretty sure I can get a cheaper price elsewhere. So I jump into Target and it was only $2.50 a gallon there for the same exact exact products.
Well, yeah, it's they got to have the fee for the shipping and all that stuff. Yeah.
But when I was looking at that, I was also trying to find some cat toys for Sarah and I's cat, because she likes the little mice that are on elastic strings, and we had the strings hooked up to her cat tree. So that way, like, they hang down, she bats at them, she tries to pull them, she tries to put them in her mouth and run away with them, but they always snap back, and then she gets to sit there and play with them for hours, and I don't have to deal with her. It's a beautiful thing. But the two that came with the cat tree in the first place, she ripped them both off and completely mutilated them. So I was just looking, while I was looking at the other stuff, I started looking at the cat toys, and it was like, oh, for one mouse with an elastic string on the mouse, it was like $15. And I was like, well, let's just see how much the cat toys are. And I wasn't even thinking about that being like, oh, that's a ton of money, or I wasn't going, that seems cheap. I just was like, okay, I guess it's $15. That seems whatever. I don't know the price of cat toys. That seems whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to look at the price of like the mice in general, just like the little mice. And I'll show you guys what the mice look like, and maybe you guys can help me decide. But like little guys like this, like little fur balls.
That's nothing.
Yeah, there's not much to it, whatever. And there's that I'll get to this part of the story later. I was like, I'll look at it, and I see a bag of little cat toys, little mice like this, and it was $5. And there's 10 of them in here. For $5, I was like, huh.
Wow, that's a low price.
And I was like, well, that's a lot lower. So maybe I'll think of something to do with that. Well, I wonder how much like elastic string is, like a little bit of like some kind of string with some elasticity. Well, I found 100 feet of elastic string for $6. So
wow, that's a low price.
I'm just watching MacGyver come together here.
And so for the price of basically $11 to $12, whatever it was at the end, it's 100 feet of string. That's the same exact type of elastic pull, and a bag of 10 mice for $4 less than what the original, just one of them was. And I had already gone through with the cat tree. And what I did was, with the strings that were with the toy that came earlier, because there's loops and stuff that you're supposed to tie them to. But only one of the loops really worked, because I completely Franken-desked my cat tree to be,
oh no,
it's two different cat trees combined, because they accidentally sent me two of them. And so I just kind of made an amalgam of them. And I went through and used, what do you call it? Like a cardboard to be able to, as a base, to create more surface area, and then super glued them to the different areas. And those are still up, like the actual string and everything. What she ended up doing was she ripped the fur off of the mice that it was attached to originally. So I went through and
she skinned it.
Yeah, she basically skinned the mice, and that's how they end up coming off, because it skinned everything else around, and then she would bite at the string and it completely released the mouse. Then she'd go take it and just mutilate it elsewhere. So I put these new ones up, but it was a lot more like I had to attach the string to the mouse, which made it harder, because I couldn't just super glue the string to the mouse because there's fur on the mice. I was like, okay, well, I'll do the same thing I did with the base of it, and I'll put it on cardboard, and I'll cardboard like the bottom half of it so that it stays on the mouse, because the main part of fun she has is trying to get it off the string, right? So I don't, that's fine. And she just basically chews on cardboard anyway. So it's not going to be like something that doesn't go in her mouth because she derps all over it. So I went through and did that. Of course, I did that last night. First, we find a mouse this morning completely off the string. I'm like, okay, so that didn't work. So I went through. And as some of you may have heard earlier, I needed to get down to the base, the body of the mouse. So it wasn't just attaching to fur, but it was molding with the actual body of the mouse. So I went fake mouse shaving today, and I was shaving the bottoms of these mice off so I could.
All to save $5.
It's great because now they're in custom areas. It's perfect. They're custom links.
I mean, technically, he's saving more than $5 though, because to get 10 of them, he would have had to spend $150.
True. I mean, his cat is ready for cat Christmas with its cat tree. I mean, everybody's happy.
But I figured, I was like, well, you know, the mice seemed like the other two lasted about 4 months once I got them all set up. Granted, the string was like pre-woven and attached in. It's like, if I can get it to be somewhat like that, this will end up being a lifesaver later on because I don't have to buy more string. I've got plenty of string for days now. So that cost is down. Now I just have to buy $5 worth of mice every, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months or something like that. I'll be gravy trained and she won't come over and bother me while I'm podcasting or, you know, playing competitive Overwatch when I'm about to try and go for 6-person kill, but all I see is cat head at that point.
Well, it's funny because I think that anything with glue on it is just meant to be destroyed by pets and is not like a good product you should buy. If it has glue involved in it, you should just not buy it because basically my dog had, my mom insists on buying her a bunch of like really fancy toys. She's satisfied with a water bottle, right? You know what I mean? Like, but my mom's like, no. This is like endorsed by Ellen and this and that. Like, oh, this is going to be so good. Like, so she buys her this like rope anchor. I don't know how that's what it was. It was an anchor that was made out of rope. So when she goes to my parents' boat, she has something to chew on, and it's all thematic and everything else. What, right?
Your mom using themes?
I know, right? Shocker. But the point is that she's chewed on it for all of maybe 10 minutes before the thing just literally just falls apart because like Ellen sold us a bunch of shit. So now it's a big joke in my household that Ellen's a shyster and like she's just preys on people and she's constantly getting you to buy bad products for dogs and cats. But yeah, so my point is, I know your pain.
My mother was like that with Maglio. She would just literally, the people at the store had to go like, oh, how many dogs do you have? Do you have like 4 or 5? She goes, 1, because that's how many toys she would buy at one time for the dog.
That's about it.
Just everywhere, stuff everywhere.
Yeah. What about you, Michelle? Do you ever have to do anything special like that for your kitty?
No, I choose not to. My cat is happy with the little rings that come off milk jugs. Like, I don't have to invest in cat toys. But Michael likes to buy cat toys, so he bought this one that it lit up, it made noise, and it had it was something, I forget, feathers and something else attached to a string, which was attached to a stick, so that you could mess with it. And the cats immediately ripped off all the feathers. And then they would only play with this toy at about 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, no.
So you would just, like, the house would be super dark, and then all you'd see is this bright blue light flashing with this stupid-ass noise that the toy made. Guess which toy does not exist anymore?
I was going to say, was the noise that it made Darude's Sandstorm like, in the middle of the night?
But, I mean, other than that, lights. They just have a couple mice that you can put catnip in, and there's 1 or 2 toys left over from toys that like had been purchased for his grandfather's cat. But I don't really buy toys for my cats. They entertain themselves. I took my old shoelaces and tied them together, and they act like they're big bad hunters for chasing that. So
I had to go through and do something because like the days that I'm, I really need to bear down and work and or even just playing video games in a competitive environment, she'll go through and she'll play with all of her stuff, but like for whatever it is, she wants to come over and check out what I'm doing at my desk all the time, step on my keyboard, get right in front of me while I'm trying to play a game.
Yeah, my cat is like that with John. He sits down with his laptop and he's like, oh, it's time to climb into your lap.
Yeah, she doesn't climb into my lap. She climbs up right on the stupid keyboard and then sits right in front of the monitor that I use for either gaming or my main work monitor. I'm like, are you serious? I can't see right now. So I definitely was like that. I noticed a dramatic increase in the amount of time that she wanted to sit in front of me once those mice fell down off the tree. So that was one of my, because before I went through and bought an automatic laser pointer that would like twirl around and like move and stuff like that. So she'd go through and chase it. But that thing was absolute crap. It was like, oh, do you want to use this laser pointer? Okay. Do you like light in your house? Yeah. Okay. Well, you can't use this toy because the laser's so weak that you literally had to turn off every ounce of light to get to it.
Oh, that sucks.
Wow. That's how you know it's quality, man. So you're going to be shooting the laser pointer up there, and I'd say all the pilots are going to be freaking out. it's that powerful. But speaking of cats, bonus points. Does anybody recognize 2 cats that were named Luna and Artemis?
Ooh, I do.
You do? Where are they from, Michelle?
I named my cats that when I was in 8th grade.
And why would you name your cats Luna and Artemis?
I have no idea where that inspiration came from.
None.
Not a clue.
Not at all.
Couldn't have been from the show I watched at 4:00 every day after school for 9 years or anything.
There's no possible way.
A show about fighting evil by moonlight and winning love by daylight. Never running from a real fight.
Doesn't sound familiar.
No? Let me go on.
as I'm looking at the whole book series 2 shelves above my head.
So, as you could probably guess from either the name of the episode or by our awful transition, or as
our topic is Sailor Moon.
I knew it. Well, we're going to be a little bit broader, but yeah, I'm sure we'll mention that as well. We're talking about anime as a whole. And the subject kind of came up that we're going to be talking about anime because I've been watching quite a bit of it lately. I know Burke's been watching a little bit, and everybody's just been kind of dabbling back into it. And it kind of brought up some interesting topics. We said, hey, why not make a podcast out of it? So what I thought we could do is start off by going around and talking about where we first saw anime and recognize that it was, like, in fact, something different than what we were used to in regards to standardized American cartoons. So who would like to kick us off today?
I can actually tie us back into how we even introed this thing. So my first introduction.
We don't want to talk about your cats anymore, Craig.
My introduction to anime, though I didn't know it at the time, but now that I look back on it, I know, okay, that was an anime, was Sailor Moon. It was the time that I had set aside, because if you guys remember me being forced outside, there was times where there was forced like workout times for me, where I had to go through and I had to do some form of running. I had to do some form of like calisthenics or something like that. And so I ended up picking like 4:00 in the afternoon in the summers or whatever it was. I picked at some point, and a lot of the things that I would do is there was a treadmill in the basement, and I would go down there and run on that for an hour. And we had a TV in there. And that's why I picked the treadmill, so I could actually watch TV while doing it, so I didn't feel like I was completely just outside running as a child, being forced to work out. So I would do that, and that's, I don't know why 4:00 was the time frame that I had to do it, but that was like the set time that I had to go out every day, or whatever time that it was being aired on Cartoon Network or wherever it was on at the time.
Oh, it was 4:00. Trust me.
Well, if that's what it was, but that was the exact time is when that started, is when I was doing the workout. And so I got used to watching that because I would flip around on the channels, and I found that, and I knew every single time I'd come back, I'm like, oh, I get to watch Sailor Moon on this one. I don't remember like literally a single episode, but I remember I used to watch. That would be the thing that I'd do to kill time while I was running, was I would sit there and watch Sailor Moon. And that particular summer I was living with my grandparents while we were building a new house, and we got forced blah, blah, blah. But I was living in my grandparents' basement at the time. So I'd walk over to the other room. I'd work out at 4:00 and sit there and watch Sailor Moon. And so that was my introduction, even though I did not know that was anime, but that was my first, where I sat there and I probably watched, I felt like the entire series, it seemed like, over that summer.
There's a lot of episodes. How about you, Michelle?
So mine was Sailor Moon was definitely my first, but I didn't actually recognize it as anime. The first time I actually realized that I was watching a kind of different genre was actually when I started watching Dragon Ball Z. When Sailor Moon was on Toonami, it would be like Sailor Moon reboot, Dragon Ball Z, and then the show after Dragon Ball Z kept changing all the time. So I never kept up with any of those. But when I started watching Dragon Ball Z, that's when I realized, like, hey, like, this is like actually like different from other cartoons, and I kind of recognized that the style was sort of similar to Sailor Moon's. And so I think I was talking to one of my cousins or something who had internet and I did not yet have internet, and then that's when he was like, oh yeah, like, this is called anime, it comes from Japan, like, blah blah blah. And that's when I learned like what it actually was.
Yeah, that it wasn't like standardized cartoons,
right,
in the sense that it's not like, oh, it's like, oh, this is like Tom and Jerry. It's like, no, this can be
like, I mean, I could clearly tell it was like a different style, but I was just like, oh, it's just the artist's thing. Like, I didn't realize it was
right, that it goes so much deeper than just being like a yep. How about you, Burke?
Dragon Ball Z. That's yeah, that was pretty much the only anime I watched. Oh, probably until I got married in I don't know, when was that? 2010. And I think Emily, because Craig said something about Death Note, and I went, all right, sure, I'll watch whatever this cartoon is. I love cartoons, and watched it, and I was like, oh, that was amazing. Because, you know, like, I watch all kinds of cartoons and whatnot, and still do, but never much anime until Death Note, and then I fell in love.
All right, I think that's I know that's made a couple of our lists for ones that we've watched over the years and really enjoyed. For myself, same sort of thing where I watched it, but I didn't recognize what it was, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So technically Sailor Moon would be my first, although I didn't really watch it growing up, because what happened was my neighbor's granddaughter would come over and play with us all the time, and she was really into Sailor Moon. So like you'd go outside and play pretend and run around, and she always made me be Tuxedo Mask. I had no idea who this character was. But apparently that's who I was, and but I remember distinctly. This is actually kind of funny. I found out when it was going to be on TV, because I didn't have cable growing up. But it was like this one rare instance where like I turned the antenna just right, and I could figure out when it was supposed to be on, and I was all excited, and I turned it on, and my mom and dad saw like 5 minutes of it, and they turned it off like, you're not watching this. This is garbage. I was like, oh, okay. but my as the years went on, I guess you can count Pokemon as an anime. I don't really, but it is that and Dragon Ball Z. But my first true experience, the one where I go, okay, this is distinctly, I recognize that it was something else, was watching, and I even know the name of the episode, an episode of Inuyasha on Cartoon Network. It was one night. The episode was only Yu Sango, and I thought the show was about her. I didn't know that it there was about anything about.
My first episodes was like one of those in the middle too, and it was literally about her. And I was like, oh, like, why is this show called Inuyasha? Because it's about this other girl.
Yeah, I had no idea, because like he doesn't play a role basically in this episode. But what made it so different was, yes, the animation was very breathtaking for me at the time, and it rains a lot in this episode, and it looked really cool. But more importantly, that did things that I'd never seen done in a cartoon. There was blood. There, like, characters would, when they get cut and they got hit in the gut, they would bleed, and I was like, blood. And then like one of the characters grabs another character's ass, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what? This is what? Just blood and like well, no, like it was like, so they had like something like in a cartoon, something that was like a little bit it wasn't like sexual, but it was like, grabbed an ass sort of thing. And then the other thing is characters bleeding, and I'm like, what is this? Like I didn't understand. My brain couldn't handle the fact that like it wasn't Tom and Jerry, essentially, right? So that was my first distinct moment of like, wait, this is something else. So then I started watching, and I remember so many Friday and Saturday nights during the summers watching, the Cartoon Network Toonami era, a little bit past that, and all the shows on that. It was cool. But
I went through, and it was, again, I went through and watched. I didn't watch it religiously. I didn't watch it all that much, really. But I watched parts of Dragon Ball Z, and it intrigued me. I ended up finding more out about Dragon Ball Z from the fighting games than I did actually from the show. But then again, you know, as
that's a much faster method.
What we've obviously gone through is during my childhood, I was forced outside a lot more than I was able to watch TV. Otherwise, I probably would have saw every single one of these episodes. But it probably was the first one that I felt like I actually watched and knew. I was like, oh, I'm watching something completely different. This is not, because there was Dragon Ball Z, there was Pokemon, and there was Sailor Moon. I didn't understand that those were like a different quote genre of a, you know, I didn't understand that. I was like, okay, whatever. It's a cartoon. Do you see it's animated? Fuck you. It's animated. They're all the same. They're all the same thing. Yeah. And I never consciously was like, oh, that's a different kind of little subgenre, or not sub, but you know what I mean? Like it's a different genre at all, until probably Death Note, when Brian, you told me to watch it. And gosh, how old were we at that point when we said that?
That came out on Cartoon Network when I first saw it in 2005, 6. Somewhere in that range.
So it was somewhere right around, pretty much right around there. We ended up going through and getting the whole series and sitting down and watching them.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was like, oh, wow. That's when I was like, oh, this is something completely different. This is a different feeling, a different culture of looking into on all this stuff.
It was psychological.
And that was just the first one that I was like, oh my gosh, that was good. I want to actually go into more things on this.
Did you guys ever watch Paranoia Agent?
No, haven't heard of it.
No. Okay, so Paranoia Agent was another one of those ones. This is before Death Note. Some people probably are going, like anyone's listening to this, are either going, don't know what you're talking about. They're going, holy shit, yes, because it was a psychological thing, but it was so off the wall insane. I'm going to do my best to explain this in a very short way, but try to stay with me here. Every episode had somebody having a mental breakdown that ended with a kid on roller skates with a golden bent metal bat coming up and smacking them in the head and beating them. Like, cracking them in the head.
The kid had the mental breakdown and then hit somebody else?
No, the characters, like basically think, like, okay, so every episode focused on a different person.
Okay, so one episode's use me as an example. Use us in the group here as an example.
You have your stress. You are a cop, and so it's the stress of being a cop. It's the stress of life. All these things is happening in your life, and you eventually have a mental breakdown.
Well, clearly this is Burke because he's the cop.
And it all culminates in, like, once the person finally snaps and has like their mental breakdown, the only thing that kind of connects all the stories is they, like, as they go and they go insane, they all see this kid with a bat and on roller skates come up out of nowhere and wham, right in the head.
Burke is a cop. He has a stress. He has a mental breakdown. Michelle comes up, hits him in the back of the head with a baseball bat on rollerblades. But then I have a breakdown from being a hacker. Yes. My mind
kid
breaks.
On roller skates.
No, Michelle comes up behind me with a bat and hits me.
Yeah, while on roller skates.
Yes.
Every episode seemed almost not connected and interconnected at once, and so it kind of built off of it, and it was brutal. It was intelligent. It was crazy. And I was watching it, especially when during the time I would have been in high school when I was out. And I'm watching this going, what is this? Because it was totally fucked up. Like some of the stuff that they did, and they were swearing and the drinking and the animations, like, oh, it was cool. But yeah, so going off what you said about the Death Note thing, like that was the first time you start realizing you're like, this is something else entirely. But what other ones were like big influencers on you guys?
One of my other favorites is Fruits Basket.
I've never seen that.
Which I've read the entire series twice and watched it twice.
What is that one?
So there's this family that's cursed, and when they're hugged by people of the opposite gender, they turn into an animal from the Chinese zodiac.
I love it. I love it.
I love the storylines of anime sometimes.
The three main characters are guys, and a girl that's a main character like lives with them, and she's not part of the curse, but she finds out about it, and she stays with them, and it's basically about her like getting to know the family and whatnot, and it's both incredibly funny but also has like really good moments where you're just like, "Aw," or you actually feel really bad for a character and stuff like that. Like it's got a really good mix of humor and seriousness.
So it's a comedy slice of life, like in that genre. Because I mean, there's all the different genres, and slice of life is one that I've just very recently kind of started dipping my toes into, and I like it quite a bit. Those ones are kind of fun, but I'm not sure. Go ahead.
I'm not sure if there's been too many other ones that have had like a huge impact, I feel like, on my watching habits or anything like that. Because it was definitely Death Note, and then I tried to do. I guess there might be one other one. I started going through Bleach. Or as Brian calls it, Black.
It's Black.
Black. Started going through that, and I lost interest. I feel like once a series gets to a certain length, I kind of lose interest in them for the most part. Not even just anime, just like even just
episode
TV shows.
300 didn't hook you?
Yeah, it started getting. I kind of just stopped at some point on that one.
I liked Bleach, except for the fact that all the sideline stories that ruined the manga. And it was just
like the Bounce series and all that stuff, like that entire season of nonsense.
Well, like the Bounce series wasn't awful, but that was probably one of the better ones. But some of the other shit was just like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, and it's a shonen, so it
kind of
does its own thing.
Yeah, and I went through and I've watched a couple other ones here and there. Brian got me watching I'm probably going to say it wrong. The Konosuba. Is that how it is? That
just Konosuba is fine.
Yeah, I started watching that, and then that's all right, but that's like more of a time killer than anything. It's like, I don't want to watch anything serious. But then again, at one point I was watching that at night when I was laying in bed and before going to sleep, and my wife's she's trying to go to sleep, I guess. She just turned over and she knows the joke that we have. And so she yelled, she's like, "Are you just sitting there watching this Chinese shit again?" Because she knows Brian and I always make that joke about it being
that's awesome.
Not Japanese. But she was like, "I couldn't sleep last night because of it." And I was like, okay.
Do you like Konosuba?
It's all right, but like I said, it's literally kind of like a time killer where I don't have anything else that I want to put on. Like
That's fair.
I have as much chance of putting that on as I do like just turning on like Friends on Netflix. Like it's just kind of like it's all right and it's kind of fun. And since I haven't watched all of them, there's a little bit more of a want to watch it because it's still something new. I've seen pretty much everything on Netflix that I'm going to turn on to fall asleep to. I've seen it all 300 times. So I'd rather watch something kind of new. But I guess the only other one that was like one that I was like, holy crap, I really enjoyed watching that was Attack on Titan. Obviously, it's in the middle of its season 2, or I don't know if they finish it or not, but I watched the first 3-4 episodes of season 2. But season 1 of Attack on Titan was a lot of fun to go through. And it was one of those ones where at the beginning of it, I did not really, it's not that I didn't care for it, but I was like, it's not really drawing me in, but I have to keep watching because there's a couple questions I want answered, and just a couple. I don't really care about I don't really care about the majority of it, but I want a couple questions answered, just like 1 or 2. Don't care about the characters really at all right now. Just want these answers, like the plot questions answered. 2 episodes later, I'm like, well, now I have a couple other questions that I really want answered, and this character's all right. And then like 3 episodes later, I'm like, well, now I've got like, I don't know, 14 questions that I want answered, and these characters' interactions are kind of fun. But for the main part, I want to answer all these questions. A couple episodes later, I'm like, well, I got a bunch of answers. Nice. But there's like 45 more questions now that I'm adding to the list that I really want to know. Okay, now I'm invested. I have to fucking watch this whole thing now.
that series really took everybody by storm when it first came out, didn't it? It was one of the big ones, but
yeah, I didn't watch it, but it seemed like everywhere I looked, that's all anybody was talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's actually pretty solid, but so
I actually haven't watched that one. I have it, just haven't watched it.
I mean, I can recommend it. I mean, it's one of those ones where it's definitely fun. There's some twists that you don't see coming, so but
that's awesome.
But I was going to say I have a list here, and I was just going to read through my list. This is before the podcast. I sat down and I was like, there's more, but I wrote down every anime that I've ever watched that I could think of anyway.
Do you want us to come back like in a couple days when you finish up the list?
Well,
or
I was going to say, if like as I go down the list, if you guys want to stop me and say, oh, I've seen that one, it was good, or ask if it was good or whatever, we can do that. That way, it kind of keeps it a little more. It's not just me reading a list; it's an actual interaction. So, okay, some of these are going to be very famous for those of you who watch a lot of Cartoon Network. Others probably not. All right, Code Geass. Great one.
Heard of it? Never saw any of it.
Code Geass, Lelouch the Rebellion. It's amazing. Inuyasha, we talked about that. Paranoia Agent, talked about that. Evangelion, I should say.
I've watched some of that. That series is really good.
It's really good, but the movie's fucked up, like, at times. But it's good, though. Yes.
Okay, so far I've heard of 2 of these.
Okay. Trigun.
I started to watch that because a lot of people really like it, but it was not my cup of tea. It's not that it was bad, it's just not my sense of humor.
Okay. Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Didn't watch Brotherhood yet, but I've watched all of Full Metal Alchemist.
Brotherhood is so much better than Full Metal.
I was just about to say, because I thought that Brotherhood was literally, this is what I understood version. Was like, okay, here's Full Metal Alchemist. We're gonna make a shortened, condensed version that's kind of like, here's the major plot points without any filler. Here you go. Here's the actual that. Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
It is. It also has some changes in there as well, but it's better. It's overall. Death Note, talked about that briefly. Cowboy Bebop. Anyone a Cowboy Bebop fan? Nothing? Okay, fair enough.
Nope, nothing. Sorry, didn't see it.
Attack on Titan and Bleach. I've watched Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT. Didn't watch any of the new stuff.
Have you watched all of GT?
I did.
Oh my god.
It was...
Wow.
Okay.
I made it 5 episodes.
Okay. I'll be honest. Obviously, it was very bad. But the Super Saiyan level 4, where he's a kind of monkey form, was kind of tight. And then more importantly, I liked the idea of ending it with the Shenron thing, or fighting the Omega Shenron. That part I thought was kind of cool. Okay. Like, I was like, that actually would be a good way to end the series, because it's like, whatever. Anyway, I didn't really care for the whole thing, but that was, Eureka 7. Fooly Cooly.
Nope.
There's another.
Fooly Cooly is good.
Yeah, it's a mindfuck too. I like that one. Samurai Champloo. Come on, who doesn't like? Let's say that one. That one's really cool. It's a combination of, they basically take modern day music and rap and whatever, I don't know how else to put it, and put it in a Edo, early Edo setting with samurai. It's that's the joke, is Champloo is actually like 2 things that don't normally go together mixing. So it's good. Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell.
I actually started watching it the other day with my wife, and we stopped it.
Do you not like Scarlett Johansson?
Like, I want to finish it, but it just wasn't intriguing at the time for some reason.
It's very slow, but Dot Hack. One Piece, I watched a little bit of that. Which, One Piece, for the record, if you think Bleach and Dragon Ball Z are long, One Piece blows.
Holy
oh
fuck.
My god,
One Piece is so long, and personally I don't enjoy it anyway, but it is ridiculously long.
I didn't hate it. I just, like, there's some characters that I thought were kind of cool, but I don't like that. What's his name? I don't remember. There's one character I really don't like, and I never remember his name. I call him Olaf, but his name's not Olaf. It's the dude with the the guy with the long nose. You know what I'm talking about? He has a name like that.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't know his name.
Rave Master, Sailor Moon, Soul Eater, Sword Art Online. I watched a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh, not really. Rurouni Kenshin, how about that one?
I watched a lot of that. I think that was one of the ones that would air on Cartoon Network after Dragon Ball Z occasionally.
Rurouni Kenshin is like, if you don't mind older animation, give that a watch. Like it's one of those ones that it's kind of a fun power trip. But anyway, Grenadier. Almost glad you guys don't.
I've seen clips.
Okay.
It's
you
ridiculous.
know that one then, right? It's pretty funny.
That's the one where they can literally use their boobs to shoot guns.
She uses her boobs to reload her gun while twirling in a circle, and that's her whole shtick, is that she's the most badass gunslinger in the world, and she uses her boobs to do it.
So she's a fembot?
Gotta love.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a fembot. It's like, she flings the all 6 bullets in, because it's a revolver, and she flings it in the air and she catches them all in the gun as she spins. Like, it's ridiculous. Spice and Wolf. I watched a little bit of Keijo. That was from last season.
It's called Kaijo.
Vampire Knight. It's that one. It's a Rosario plus Vampire, because I recommended that one, and it was actually very funny. Interviews with Monster Girls.
That one sounds not the previous one sounds familiar for some reason. I might have watched that one.
It's a comedy. It's one of those comedy harem ones, you know, like the it's like same thing as like a Monster Musume or whatever like that, but and like the High School DxD. High School of the Dead. So this one I liked recently. I couldn't become a hero, so I reluctantly got a job. It's literally about a guy who wanted to be a hero, and he couldn't. It's like literally right on his entrance exam, they kill the Demon King. So he's like, "Oh, I guess I have to be a cashier at a store now." Like he literally is. It's funny. His dream's crushed. Kind of Subo. We talked about that. Actually, I Am. Witchcraft Works. Big O. 100. Is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Hilarious if you're into a very good show. Strike the Blood. The Cartoonist and His Assistants. Beyond the Boundary. Buso Rankin. A little bit of Fairy Tale. All right, and I think that's the end of the list that I came up with just before this. I know there's more, but those are the ones.
Are you sure? Are you sure that's the end of the list?
Well, I mean,
how the fuck do you have the time to do all of this?
This is
shit?
over the course of a long time. This isn't like I just sat down and.
To be fair, most of these series are also incredibly short.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen that many TV shows like all together, not just anime.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
holy shit!
And there's so many genres and subgenres and like.
Have you actually watched everything that you just named? Have you actually watched beginning to end?
With the exceptions of Fairy Tale and Fairy Tale and One Piece, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, and Bleach. I didn't finish all of Bleach, but yes, all the rest of them, yes. I'm one of those people. I'm what they call a continuity person. Where once I start something, it's like when they sing with Cartman, they do the "I'm Sailing Away." I can't not finish it. Like once it starts, I'm like, okay, I got to go back and finish this thing. But
I have to go through till I hit the end of a season. But then at that point, I go, well,
no, man,
looks like that was the end of the story.
Gotta keep going.
See, I'm just like, if it's not holding my interest, I'm done.
I don't want to stop in the middle of. I mean, granted, there's exceptions, but for the most part, it's going to be, I want to stop at the end of a season so they have time to at least try and finish out like a storyline, because maybe I just don't like the storyline that they're telling right now. And that once they finish it, maybe it'll kind of wrap back up. Maybe it'll come back and pique my interest again. But I like to try and give it where there's logical bookends to when I quit something, so that it's not like, okay, I just right in the middle of it. There's very few things that I Destiny where it's like right in the middle of it, I just go, nope, done, take it out, crack the disc. You know, just there's very few things on that. I try and finish like movies. I'm not going to stop in the middle of a movie. I'm like, well, I'm already sort of invested in this. Might as well just finish it out. TV shows, same thing. I kind of want to finish out a season. And then at the end of the season, they're like, they have a tease, not a teaser, but like the cliffhanger for you to be like, come back next season on whatever. If I sit there and look at it and I go, well, don't really care, that's when I try and bail out, because I guess to a point I have the sort of that same thing you do, Brian, where it's like, okay, well, I kind of need to get some closure on this little storyline. Okay, I got closure and they're trying to open up something new. Yeah, I didn't see that can opening. I'm good. I'm going to walk away.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, the list that I gave is kind of all over the board as far as like themes and types and whatever.
It really is.
Well, and that's just, like at different times in my life, I like different stuff. You know, as far as like when I like when I was younger, I was really into the stuff like a Dragon Ball or whatever, because it's like, oh man, it's a dude powering up and he's gonna fight another dude, and it's like, all right. Now that I'm a little bit older, I'm really more into the comedy and like even the slice of life stuff. Like okay, Interviews with Monster Girls. Have you guys ever heard of that one?
Hold on, are we sure though? Because I'm pretty sure every time we hang out, you ask who would win in a fight.
No, I still do that. Yeah. No. Don't get me wrong. I'm still the same guy deep down, but no, but like, okay. Interviews with Monster Girls. At first, when I read the description of it, I go, oh God, but it was so highly recommended. I was like, all right, fine. I'm gonna give it a shot. The description of it is basically a teacher interviews his students that are middle schoolers, right? And like, so in my head, I'm like, oh Jesus, it's gonna be one of those ones where like it's like the Japanese being kind of weird. He's gonna hit on the girls, and is it nothing like that? It's literally he's interviewing these girls who are girls, but they happen to in fact be monsters of some kind, right? Like one of them, one's a vampire, one of them is literally a headless person, and carries her head around, like stuff like that. But the point is that it's all about their interactions with their classmates and like this mentor person talking to them and helping them through like the difficulties of just being a middle schooler. And it was so charming the entire way through. I'm watching it going, oh, I feel for them. Like I start feeling for the characters a little bit. And you're like, oh, this is adorable. And I look at the teacher and I'm like, man, that's the kind of teacher that I would want to be. Like, yeah, this is, completely different than something like a Bleach where it's like, I'm going to fly around and then transform into my hollow mask, I don't know. For me, it's as I've gotten older, I like different stuff, and I'm glad that there's so much variety as far as anime is concerned. But
so, did you ever watch One Punch Man? I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I
started it, and I haven't finished it yet, so I didn't put it on my list. But yes, I'm like 5 episodes in.
Okay, because I absolutely love
fun.
that one.
It plays on tropes.
Exactly. It's what it is. It makes fun of itself as an anime, and I love it. He's like, as I'm powering up, and he's like,
well, it's just true awesome. Because like there's so many. It's gotten so big now that I like the ones that literally will poke fun at themselves. Like, for example, the one I recommended to Craig and the one I mentioned on my list, The Cartoonist and His Assistants, is literally about a guy who draws manga and he's it's like so meta, right? And he's clearly like and he does it because he's a pervert, but he's like a lovable pervert, and it's like but it's genius the way they had written it out. You know what I mean? Like it plays on all the tropes you think it would. But yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about Kill la Kill.
Kill la Kill.
Oh, dude, that like the fact that the father makes skimpy outfits and it was for his daughter. You're just like, God damn it, what are you doing?
Well, there's so many like there's so many tropes and things. Like after you've watched enough of this stuff, it like you start seeing like a little commonalities, and then you're like, okay, now this character's gonna be this character's gonna be that. It just kind of goes, down the rabbit hole, so to speak. But and actually,
I want to say though that I think potentially games that are based off animes are right up there with like games that are tie-ins for for movies, like video game tie-ins with movies. I don't know if there's the only one that I've ever enjoyed was like the side, like the 2D, I'll say 2D. It was in a 3-dimensional world. It's like the PlayStation 2 or something like that. Was a Dragon Ball Z fighting game. Past that, like there has not been. I feel like I've tried out a good handful of games. Like there was the one on the Wii that we did, Brian. That was a fighting one. I think it was. I don't know if it was Bleach or whatever it was. We tried some anime fighting game on that, and I am loath to find a game that was really good based off an anime.
They say Persona 5 is the closest thing that you'd get to playing an anime, or for the Persona games.
Persona series.
Yeah. But I've never played them personally, but yeah, I really don't buy anime games.
To me, I've played a few of them too, and like Craig, they're pretty much like games that come from movies or TV shows where it's pretty much like, all right, these characters, so here's this really shit game with their faces in it.
I didn't know if anybody else, since I am not the connoisseur, so maybe somebody else had played or picked up a game here or there. Like, oh no, this was pretty good. This was pretty fun.
No, most of the Dragon Ball Z games are crap. Sailor Moon games, there's only one that's been fan translated, so you can't really play most of them. And it's a pretty decent RPG actually, but it also really has nothing to do with the anime. Like it's a completely original story. So
is that maybe why it was decent?
Probably.
They weren't trying to like.
Yeah, they were like, here's these characters, but here's this made up plot you've never seen before. It wasn't trying to make the show into a game or something.
Yeah, I bought a Inuyasha fighting game for the PlayStation 2, and it was exactly what you'd think it would be. It was awful.
Yeah, and I have an Inuyasha RPG for the PS2, and I mean it is the most generic RPG I've ever played in my entire life.
God.
And like I still enjoyed it because I do enjoy generic RPG, but it was just like it literally could have been any characters and you would have been just as attached. Like it did not matter that they were Inuyasha characters.
The only one that I ever played that I enjoyed was I think it's Dragon Ball Z, whatever the official title was on the game. I don't remember, but it was like Budokai 2, I think was, and it wasn't the 10. What was the one that you guys play? Yeah, it wasn't that one. It was just like Dragon Ball Budokai 2 or Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. It was pretty much the only one that.
Yeah, I played that one. That's the best Dragon Ball game I've played. It
literally is just kind of like a clone of some kind of other fighter where it's like, okay, you get combos, you get moves, you get stuff like that. And I remember going over to our buddy's Brett's house and he had the game. And all I would do is I would play a Cell and get I'd get up to his perfect version and then just spirit bomb the shit out of everybody. And I had the combo down, like I had it down pat where I remember, and you know how Josh would get too when we were playing video games. He'd be like, what the fuck's going on? And I'd sit there and like you'd start seeing the familiar movements of me, like punch, knee, kick, and you'd start hearing the person getting pissed off, like no. And all of a sudden you see me start doing a fucking spirit bomb. I had so much fun with that. Those games
were fun. I remember I wasn't allowed to play Krillin in Tenkaichi because his destructor discs were unblockable. And it only took 2 bars to charge up. So literally all I had to do was like if I put like 3, like just 2 feet of space in between me and the guy I was fighting against, I go power up discs, and literally you just spam it and they couldn't stop you. It was so cheap, but speaking of awesome. Being cheap and beating people at things, are you guys ready for the quiz this week?
Yeah, I'm totally gonna lose on this one.
I mean, you know. No, the quiz this week is going to be kind of interesting because I thought about it and I wasn't going to sit here and go, oh, let's talk about a Miyazaki film or whatever. I had to kind of balance it out to be something that would be more, I'm going to say broad for everybody involved here. So although anime is very varied and it tackles a bunch of different serious topics, non-serious topics, and whatever, this is all about anime tropes. So what this is going to be I'm going to give you the scenario, and I want you to tell me what the answer is / what the trope would be. So basically, I'll explain. I'll say the statement or question. You'll respond in kind. These are open, meaning that if you deliver a line that's better than the one I was thinking of, or like I'm like, oh my god, I didn't think of that. Yes, then I'll still give you the point. So it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more free form than, you know. But I do have specific answers written down for everything.
I still am thinking you're still going to be like, in the 3rd episode of the 4th season, what line was said after this? Go.
No. This is really mainly taken from things like, lots and lots of research on what would be considered the most common anime trope, etc.
I'm still gonna fail, so it doesn't matter.
Well, in that case, I'll have you go first. So it'll.
Yay! Actually, Craig's going last this week.
Oh.
Yeah, because he went first last.
Okay, then what's the order, Burke?
Myself, Michelle, and Craigers.
Let's do this thing.
I'm going to let you know it literally is not going to matter where I go.
No, trust me. They're not hard.
My only hope is to make you laugh, Brian, and you give me half points.
It's 1 point for a correct answer, half point if it's a really great answer. But all right. Question 1. Where is the most common setting for an anime? Or what seems to be the most common setting? A city. Okay.
I don't know how specific you're looking for.
Doesn't have to be super specific. Just I'm looking for something.
Like my answer is literally Tokyo.
Okay.
My answer is going to be Japan.
Okay. You know what? I'll give Burke half a point. What I was looking for is a high school. High school is the most common tropey BS answer for everything. Everybody's in high school.
I think we could take percentages. I think Japan's going to be a good answer on this one.
I think you're right.
I'm gonna go with America.
No, none of them are set there. All right. Oh no, the main character has been apparently beaten in a fight. How will he ever turn the tide of the battle to win? Okay.
Oh,
He'll yell and power up. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna say he gains magical powers from some other force.
Gains magical powers from some other force.
I've got him gaining magical powers from some other source. He's doing steroids.
I'll actually give both Michelle and Craig half a point. The answer is he'll transform. Transformations are all over anime. Everybody's got to transform when you're hurt.
How is that not powering up? That's like transforming. You have to power up. Like I'm going Super Saiyan.
You can't just stick to your guns, Brian.
That's fucking bullshit.
Powering up and transformation are two different things. You know, had you said he'd gone Super Saiyan, that'd have been different. But all right.
Okay, that's how I was imagining it. But okay.
Question: what is the main quirk of most protagonists in a shonen anime? So, in other words, think to yourself about characters like Luffy from One Piece or Goku or something like that. What is the common thread between them? What's something that all those characters do? Oh, or even think Fairy Tail and think of the main Natsu.
They're always childish.
Always childish. Okay.
They are kind of stupid.
They are kind of stupid. Okay.
I don't know. Down on their luck.
I'm gonna. It's in this case. And
by childish, I mean kind of like naive.
Yeah. I'm gonna give Michelle and Burke half a point.
Okay.
But the answer is they all eat excessively. Every shonen.
That's also true.
All of them eat
true.
excessively. That's the big shonen thing. Okay. This comes from Annoying Anime. Uh-oh. The male character accidentally walked in on a naked woman. How will he react?
His eyes will
eyes will pop. Okay.
Sure. Yes.
Get a nosebleed.
Okay.
Fuck.
Turn around and apologize profusely.
Michelle gets the point. It's nosebleed.
Yeah. As soon as she said, I was like, God
all right.
damn it. Their eyes pop at the same time normally, too.
That's true, but I was looking specifically for nosebleed. She hit it on the head.
Yeah.
So, our hero who jumped in on the naked girl has just tripped. Where will he most likely land?
His face?
His chin specifically.
Can you repeat the question
Yes.
again?
Our hero who just walked in on the naked girl has just tripped. Where will he most likely land?
The floor.
Okay, Craig,
I have an alternate joke answer, which is into boobs.
You know what? Unfortunately, I'm going to give Craig half a point, but Michelle actually, with her alternate answer, was actually correct. He will land on her and accidentally grab her boobs. That is exactly what is written down on the page. Every time.
Okay.
Apparently, that is just a weird quirk in anime. I don't know why. It's a thing.
I need to fall down more in Japan.
Right?
right?
All right. so
the clumsy are rewarded.
Well, no, it's true. That's a big thing. Everyone's clumsy there. All right. In the anime. A new mysterious girl has caught the eye of our main character. Who is going to be the most jealous by this new development? This is an anime trope. Who is super jealous every time when there's a new mysterious main character or a girl that the main character is interested in?
The old
hermit. Okay.
Okay,
Craig's losing his mind. I don't know. He's laughing because I don't know.
The girl who's already in love with the main character.
Okay.
Clearly, that's who it is. It's the girl that's already in love with Edward. I mean, the main character.
Michelle and Craig will get the point. Specifically, it's the childhood friend. The childhood friend.
The whole time I'm laughing because I was thinking of different ways to explain Twilight.
Next one. If the show is as short as 12 episodes or as long as 200, there's no doubt there will be an episode devoted to all the characters going here. So at some point during an anime, all the characters will go somewhere. Where are they going to go?
I'm going to go... Shit. To the store.
To the store.
Actually, I'm gonna change that to the mall today.
Robin Sparkles, I like it. To the mall today. That delivery was really good. Just give yourself a half a point already. Like that was pretty good. All right, Michelle.
To some body of water, whether it's a beach, a spa, like they will gather at some body of water.
I was gonna say beach because Brian's told me this before.
Both Michelle and Craig get the point. It's a hot spring / beach trip. At some point, they will always go there.
Brian was very surprised. Gosh, I don't know, a year or two ago. You were like, what? You didn't know this? They always go to the beach. I was like, sure, fuck they do. Why not?
It's an excuse to dress all the characters in swimsuits. They do it every single time. So, all right. This one's fun. I like this one a lot because when I read it, I was like, my God, it's true. So our anime is rolling the opening credits. What are our characters most likely doing during the opening?
Being fast forwarded through. That's what I do.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a montage.
Okay.
Of them like working out, doing some random shit.
I'm going to say sleeping.
I'm going to give half a point to Burke. The answer is the characters are always running. No one knows where, and they're mostly usually running toward the camera, but they're always running. Yeah. All right. Our anime takes place in a high school. In the homeroom, where does our main character sit?
Back left.
Okay.
Middle left.
Okay.
Damn it, I was going to say middle left too.
Okay, Craig gets the point. It's the back left corner right next to the window. They always sit back left corner right next to the window. We're headed to school and we're running late. What's in our mouth?
Bagel. I don't care if I'm supposed to be last. I'm getting my answers out now.
Like a rice ball something. I don't know what they're called.
A donut.
I can't give anyone the point. It's toast. Toast is always in our mouths when we're running late to school. For some reason, that's a thing. If you wanted to spot the main character in a crowd, what's the first thing you should look for?
Hair. Crazy hair.
Got hair and hair.
Spiked hair. I'm going more specific.
I'll just give all three of the point. It's the crazy hair. whatever character.
I said crazy.
Yep.
I said crazy.
Crazy hair. Yeah. If a girl is constantly being mean and beats up our main character, then she is blank. A lesbian.
In love with him.
Hungry.
I'm going to give Craig half a point just because that was funny. But Michelle gets the full point. In love with him. It's a tsundere. Everybody knows that. There you go.
A what?
It's the name of a girl it seems angry and mean, but she's really just in love with the character.
I didn't know there was a term for it. I'm not like surprised there's a term. I just didn't know it.
I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that, but all right. In anime, this power will let you overcome any obstacle, especially in the final episode. So, in other words, say this is a power that will let you overcome any obstacle, especially if it's a final episode or something like that.
Love.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say love as well.
I was gonna start singing "The Power of Love," but
all right, I'll give everybody half a point. Specifically, I was looking for the power of friendship. Friendship is what overcomes everything. Apparently,
I was talking about the phileo love.
Oh,
yeah.
I was talking about my love of fillets.
Our characters are drinking. How can you tell they are drunk just by looking at them? So this is an animation question. What do they do to signify that the character is drunk through their animation?
Some kind of red face stuff.
Okay.
Like there's tinted red somewhere on the
I'll
face.
accept that.
I'm gonna go with like some drool out of the mouth or something, like water.
I am going to say red face.
I'm going to give the points to Michelle and Craig because the answer is there will be a red blush line that goes from cheek to cheek across the nose. Speaking of characters who drink, the female teacher who runs homeroom will most likely have this recurring joke throughout the series run.
Don't be late.
Okay.
I could have burned this place down years ago.
Okay.
She's a single alcoholic.
Yes! Yes! Michelle gets a point. Absolutely. She is single and desperate to meet a man / is always talking about her failed dates to the class. She just always, that's a very common thing. All right. So let's look at a side character in our anime classroom. The quiet girl in glasses who seems antisocial is really blank.
What was
I said
that?
we're looking at the classroom, and the quiet girl in glasses who seems antisocial is really blank.
The sidekick.
Possessed by the bad guy.
Ooh, okay.
Fucking annoying.
Wow.
Craig
Well,
gets
I
it.
mean, technically, I'm going to give Craig half the point because she's actually the craziest / most perverted character in the show. Every time, she's always the crazy one who freaks out and tries to kill everybody. So I'll give about half a point to Craig. All right. An over-the-top anime fight is happening. How do you know what your opponent's move? Or how do you know what move your opponent is using?
They yell it.
Okay.
They scream it.
Hold on, let me pull up my synonym list.
They create it for 37 episodes before using it.
I want to give Craig and Burke a full point. Marshall gets a half point because that was just funny. Nice. All right. Got two more. The quirky young one of the group is being talked to by the protagonist. What will the protagonist do with their hands to show that the young one is a kid while they're talking to them?
Pat him on the top of the head.
Hands on hips.
Pat him on the top of the head.
Michelle and Craig get the point. And last but not least, what is the day with the highest odds of something amazing happening to an anime character? Put another way, what day in a main character's life do most animes start with?
18th birthday.
18th birthday, okay?
Okay, I'll go with that still. I want to change it, but I won't.
Still your turn. You can change it if you really want.
New Year's.
Yeah.
I was gonna go with like graduation day, like they just graduated high school or something, or whatever their version of high school is.
And Bert?
I said like
New Year's, okay.
I'm going to say the first day of high school.
Michelle is right.
Gosh,
it's the first day of high school. Every time. It was my first day of high school, but suddenly, and then just insert bullshit here. Absolutely.
Yeah. As soon as I said my answer, I was like, oh shit. It's not like it would have mattered. I sucked at this quiz.
This one is a little bit tougher. That's how I understand.
It's still higher scoring than the last couple of
really?
quizzes.
What was the final scores?
Yeah. I had 4.5.
Okay.
Yeah. Craig came in second with 9.5.
Ooh.
Barely losing to Michelle, who had 11.
Wow.
Pity points get you far in this world, boys. Pity points get you far. You can come all the way in second place on pity points.
No, I'll tell you, that was a fun quiz to make though, because it was one of those ones where, you watch something for so long that you almost get blind to a lot of that stuff. And I was going through and doing my research, looking at the tropes, and every list was borderline identical, listing those things off that I mentioned there. I'm like, my God, it's true. And there was montage all the clips together, like the character running with toast in their mouth, and I'm like, that happened like 80 fucking times. Like it's pretty great, but.
I just want to let you know, I didn't feel confident. I think with all but like 2 answers that entire quiz, just was completely making shit up off the top of my head. Like, sure, why not this?
Same here.
Like
Same
the one
here.
you told me before. There's always a beach episode. I was like, oh, okay. So that one you literally told me years ago. You had said that to me, and I can't think of really the other one off the top of my head. But I only felt like confident on 2 of them. Like, oh, this is probably it. Oh, the head patting one.
Padding.
Because I would fucking punch a bitch if someone patted me on the head. Ever.
But I do that
I
when
hate
you
my
suck
head and my
dick.
face touch. Get away.
You're thinking of you're watching Konosuba, so Megumin, right? That's her.
I haven't noticed. He it in
pats
that.
her on the head all the time.
Haven't
Right
noticed.
before she says explode. I'm just saying.
Nope. I just knew that it would piss me the fuck off. So it probably pisses other people off.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. But did we all learn about anime today?
Yay! We did.
No.
I learned how much I don't know about anime today, and
Yeah,
how much I
pretty
can be
much.
more well versed in the way of anime arts.
Oh God. Well, that means that standard animation got dunked on. Someone's rapping it. I'm like, oh shit! Oh my God.
I had nothing. Like, I honestly just felt lost this entire episode. Like, I don't know if it's maybe the mental state that I came in. Like, I already knew halfway through today. I was like, I've got nothing for tonight. Not even just because of the topic. You could have been like, we're gonna talk baseball and advanced stats. I'd have been like, you guys are gonna have to fucking carry me on this one. It just happened to be combined with something I don't really know about. So it's like, I just feel lost. The entire night I felt lost. I apologize if it came through at all. Like, I just felt off the entire time.
It was funny because like during the discussion, I was sitting there listening, and I'm like, oh God, I was worried that my quiz was going to be too hard, just because of the fact that like it's based on if you've watched enough essentially. Like, it doesn't matter what you watch as long as you watched like a few different ones, you'd have kind of a concept idea. But at the same time, I was like, oh no, like it's like I've seen Death Note and One Punch Man. I'm like, if that's it, that's a problem. That's why I was getting worried. But I'd say 11 points is pretty solid. I'll take it.
Thanks.
I failed harder.
This time we'll fail harder.